Hello, you beautiful Life Path 22 person. Welcome to your year ahead Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want to say a massive thank you so much and a heartfelt thank you from my heart to yours for all of your support throughout 2022. It does mean the absolute world to me, and I love that you guys came back to these month after month to tell me how it was showing up for you, how it was speaking to you in your life, and how it worked with your plans. With that said, before we start, as always, I would like to bless my cards and the reading itself with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So this year, if you've been with me long enough, you know there are always my trusty notes here, there, and everywhere. And this year will be absolutely, it wouldn't be a reading with me, right? Unless there were notes somewhere. Now, that being said, 2023, should I say, is a universal 7 year. What we're looking at here is how this interacts with your own number and the energies and the trends and themes that it's likely to produce over the course of that year. So, can you say sensitivity, right? This year, your sensitivity is going to be cranked up to about an 11 or a 12, right? And so this is the thing, as a Life Path 22, you guys tend to be the least fluffy of the master number vibrations. And that's not to say that you're hard or that you're mean. It's just that you tend to be a bit more grounded and a bit more rigid. You're a bit more real world than the 11 or the 33. Now, what this usually means is on the ground, you can make it happen, right? You've got that thing that I call the download and go. You can have the idea, download it into yourself, and then literally go out into the world and start making it real. Now, what I will say to you is, can you trust that there is a plan unfolding for your life? Can you trust that there is a divine will that is centering, focusing, and redirecting you towards all the things that you truly want and desire for your life? That's what you're being asked to really foster within yourself over the course of this year. Open up to the world being your home and the people in it being your family. This is a year for you to really discover what it means to be altruistic. This is a year for you to discover what it really means to be a global citizen, to really think above and beyond yourself. And that's not to call you selfish, it's just to say that this year life takes on a more we kind of energy rather than me. All right. What I'll also say to you is you need to listen to your intuition this year, and you might find that your inner senses that require a bit more trust and a bit more refinement this year. So it's like your intuition tends to be very good. You're a master number after all. But you may find this year that it needs more focus, all right? It needs to be refined. How does it speak to you? When do the messages come? What are they like once you've eaten certain foods? This is a year to really experiment with your intuition. You're amazing at conquering the real world and great at manifesting, but this year you need to get really in tune with how to do the inner stuff, all right? It's the inward stuff this year that's going to create the outer reality, which is always the case anyway, but for you, like this year, that focus is a bit more inward. The universe will make you a lot more sensitive than you're used to being, and you might ask yourself this year, like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I so like on edge or tetchy? And it's not, it's just that you're more sensitive this year, not only to others but also to yourself. You might also find as well that you're being sensitized so that you can pick up on the nuances, right? I'm going to be really honest with you, Life Path 22 people, you're not known for subtlety, all right? And I say that out of all love, but it's not necessarily a skill that you're known for. This year, it's that hypersensitivity that's coming in this year. It's more fine, and it's going to help you to read the room a little better. It's going to help you to read people a little better, and it's also going to get you to understand maybe some of the more subtle hints and cues that come your way that you tend to either ignore or overlook. Yeah, and I've put here, like, usually you just kind of bend the world to your will. It's not going to happen this year. You're right, you won't have that luxury. And I know a lot of you are like, damn you, Raph, why couldn't you give me any better news than that? It's likely not to happen that way, all right? But that doesn't mean there isn't advancement here. Just wait. So whatever you build usually is like you build to last, right? And so this is about flow and flexing. And if you don't flow with things and allow them to unfold naturally versus that I'm going to make it happen energy, the chances are it'll burn you out. All right. So really think about that this year. Connect to different places and people. And and allow yourself to be taught new things and to be humbled. And that doesn't mean that you have to be trampled. It just, you know, I know a lot of you are like, wait, humbled? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's all right. You don't have to pull the handbrake, right? It just means there are going to be things that you learn this year that you see that like bring that spirit of humility to you. And this is really important. So I can tell you a story that will give you an example. I came from a very humble beginning, right? And you know, there was a period of my life where I was like, well, I've had it hard as well, so I don't, you know, I was a young person and it is what it is. And when I was working at a bar, I think it was about 22, maybe 23 at this point. And at this point, my whole spiritual journey had just started to really, really unfold. And I remember a guy who'd been traveling had gone to, I think it was an orphanage that was also a monastery. I think it was in either Tibet or in China. And so one day he'd taken one of the kids out. He said, I've got to go to the shop. Do you want to come with me? And he'd taken the kid to the shop and he said, oh, you know, do you want a drink? I'll buy you a Sprite. And he bought in this, like, just, you know, this one bottle of Sprite. And the kid was just holding it. And he was like, do you not want to drink it? And he was like, well, no, I'm saving it. And he said, well, what are you saving it for? He said, I'm saving it so I can share it with the other kids when I get back to the monastery. That really, when I talk about humbled, that really fucking humbled me down, right? Just hearing that, like I had all these whinges and whines about, oh, my life's so hard. Hearing that, ooh, right, really, really, you know, brought me back and brought my feet back to the ground. And this is why I say, allow this year to let there be moments that humble you, that bring you back to your senses, okay? Humility is a gift and a virtue, and one that will serve you well if you harness it this year. When it comes to money, fame, fortune, resources can all find you this year. Absolutely, but you can't chase them, all right? And you'll be tempted to, but you can't. If you do what you're doing, make sure it is good for everybody that you are interacting with, working with, for or under. And I promise you, the goods, the riches, the resources will be there. They'll be available to you. Your usual way of doing things is going to need to be adapted. I've said that enough and I can't stress that point enough. Money can be really good when you're spending it on experiences like travel, charity, expanding your mind, anything that's going to allow you to tap into deeper levels of self. Money well spent this year. When it comes to love, if you're partnered, get back to being friends this year. All right, like before you, like when you meet someone and you're dating and you're just kind of, well, we're just seeing how it goes, you know, you go through that stage. When you're in that stage, you're friends. You're discovering like what you like about each other, what you kind of don't, and you know what makes you laugh, and why this person is your favorite person, and what kind of friendship you have. This year is going to be really important, whether you've been together 5 minutes or 50 years. Get back to being your partner's best friend and vice versa. If you're single, a friend could become a lover. A friend or family member could set you up with a lover. This could also see you connecting to a potential partner, especially if you're on a trip or for some professional or charitable reason. So if you're doing some kind of travel that revolves around charity, the work life, the professional life, these are all places and spaces that you could meet someone that ends up being a significant other. So your warnings this year: don't be selfish. Usually of all the master numbers, the 22 can kind of get away with it. And it's because they build things that are practical. Therefore, most of the time, everybody can use them. Whereas this year, you don't kind of have that luxury. So it's like, if you just say, well, you know what, stuff it, I just want to make loads of money and be super successful, I don't care about anybody else, that's going to bite you in the butt. What I've also got here as well, mentally and physically, this year you need to be on point. This year you need to be really certain of your spiritual source and your connection. And if you don't have one, all right, so what is your spiritual source and connection? This year, rather than that whole download and go, which usually doesn't see you stopping to see what or who or whatever is giving you that, this year you need to focus more on the connection. Where are those things that I'm downloading coming from? And what is my relationship to that higher source, power, or connection? All right. And then finally, when it comes to work takes on a more fun, more altruistic kind of energy. When you lean into your creative spirit, not your 22 energy, because your 22 energy is not necessarily creativity. It's not. I'm sorry to say it, but that's the truth of the matter. It's an ability to stick to itiveness, right? To get things done, to make things real and tangible, but it's not creativity per se. This year, you need to lean into your creative energy, right? Whatever that means to you. And then finally, your ability to dream rather than download is what's going to create the professional life that you really dream of, right? If you're looking for work this year, use your networks of people. Who do you know that have connections? And those people can really make great finds for you this year. So let's get into your cards. What does the year ahead have in store for you? So you're going to get one destiny card, one direction card per month for the year ahead. And you will also get one direction. I've already said that. One direction card. Ooh, girl, it's good. So for as we start the year in January, we've got Mercury retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. We've got Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So that sort of big dynamic. It's a new year, it's a new everything, we're gonna and fast sort of dish. It's not gonna be there, all right? Not for a lot of the numbers, I have to say. There are a few that have it, that have, it's like they're going on their own steam. Like what the year is doing, I'm making this happen for myself, right? But in true fashion, darling, and your first card out, remember this typifies the whole year for you. All right, it gives you a heads up of what some of the twists and turns are going to be. You've got one of if not my favorite card out of all of my decks. It's the Tree of Life card, and this card literally means divine intervention and assistance. And that suggests that over the course of this year, whatever happy, divine detours, delays, mistakes, serendipities, discoveries, moments of enjoyment and pleasure, there's going to be so many that just kind of show up for you. And some of them can be truly humbling. And if you allow them to be that, this year can be truly, truly marvelous for you. I love this because it's like, as you come into the year, even though it's slower, there might be things where you're like, well, you know, I had planned to do this, but it doesn't seem to be going ahead. I don't really know what to do. And then bam, something shows up for you out of the blue, divinely guided, divine assistance and intervention. The other thing as well, if you're getting off track this year, there might be something or someone, it might just be like a line that a kid says to you, like you see some random kid in the street and they say something to you, or, you know, you're watching TV and they're like, whatever they say is speaking directly to your situation. If you find that you're getting off track and something bumps you back into the present, that's that divine intervention. It's kind of giving you the little elbow to say, look, I know you're a bit off course at the moment, or you feel a bit lost or whatever. I got you. You're going that way. All right. So I'm here for it. I love it. I think it's great. It's going to be an interesting path. It's going to be, well, that as well. It's going to be an interesting year for you, Life Path 22 people. And I can't wait to see what you create. So for your create, not build. Wow, okay, as if you didn't have enough there, you've got the Magician card, right? So look at this. Not only are you starting the year with that divine power very much behind you or at your back, I kind of feel this is going to be a moment where you come into the year and it's almost like you're already very clear on what you want to present to the world. And there will be many cues in January that kind of say to you, yes, this is where you need to be going. Yes, this is what you need to lean into. Interestingly enough, the Tree of Life card is the number 10 and the Magician is the number 1. So you've got 11, right? Which is, you know, it's not your number, but it is a master number vibration. And I kind of find that really funny. What I will also say to you as well is, in the month of January, as you come into the year very clear on what you're trying to build, what you're trying to create. and there will be many things that assist you on this path. This could also be a time where there might be someone in your midst at this point that you're not really sure of. It doesn't have to be a partner. This could literally be like a colleague, somebody that you're working with. And the reason I feel that this is the case, it kind of feel like they show up in January. And when they do, there's a part of you that's like, well, you know, like they just almost seem to not sort of unsettle you, but they seem to just have a way of knowing what you're doing or what you're thinking. And this is because they are divinely inspired. This is somebody that's been sent to help you. And a big part of this is they're going to be able to see you maybe more clearly than you can see yourself. And that can be really uncomfortable at times. I remember having a mentor once, and it was like everything that I said, I just always got this kind of feeling that he was like looking right through me. It's just like, okay, this is uncomfortable. And it wasn't that. It's just because he was like, you know what, I've been there. I know where you're at. It's not a case of like, I'm sitting here judging you and you should be doing this, this and this. But it's really unsettling to have that experience. However, and this is the thing, I think that life is trying to teach you some humility this year, right? You're usually so confident, so clear of what you're doing and where you're going. And this year, life's peeling back some of those layers to reveal the new version of you that you're not even aware of at this moment in time. For February, you have the Faith card, right? So attaching yourself or working with bigger or larger institutions in some regard. Maybe for some of you, you're releasing a book. Maybe you are starting a business or a company. Maybe you are working underneath a superior that is a bigwig, right? That's potentially amplifying your voice or your message. Very possible. You've got this with the Knight of Pentacles. Specifically for those of you that have Taurus children, this, especially Taurus teenagers, February, they will feature for you quite heavily. Now, another way that this could show up for some of you, the Knight of Pentacles, a mode of transport, the Faith card or the Hierophant card, this could literally see you visiting a sacred site. You could be going to, a place that you've always felt very spiritually drawn to, a place that really calls to your soul, or a place that really, do you know what I mean? It's like you see this place or this space as very spiritual, and it speaks to your soul in some way. So you could be taking like a really spiritual journey or a trip to a very spiritual place in some regard. Another way that this might show up as well, for some of you, you could be entering into contracts or agreements that have a very long shelf life. It's like, you know what, this is going to take me from here up to here, but it's going to be a slow and steady burn. With that said, we come into March. So March, May and October, packed astrological months, big things happening here, right? So in March, we're going to have Pluto moving out of the sign of Capricorn and into the sign of Aquarius. Big deal. It's going to dip its toes for like 2-3 months, let's say, and then in 2024 it will come into Aquarius full time. This is giving you a heads up what that 20-year period after that is going to be like. So 2024 onwards, you're getting a taster of what it's going to be like for you. When it comes to Saturn is moving out of the sign of Aquarius and into the sign of Pisces. Sky Papa's going to be drunk. So excited for that. And then when it comes to when it comes to Mars has been in the sign of Gemini at this point for like 7-8 months. Mars doesn't do so well in Gemini because Gemini is about flitting from one thing to another and doing things with both hands and going in like this. Whereas Mars wants this. It wants focus, direction in one direction so that it can march forward. It's gone retrograde in a sign that it doesn't necessarily do very well in. And so we've all been feeling this, but as it does go direct, you're going to be feeling the power of this, right? And the reason I love this so much, is because when it comes into the sign of Cancer, which is the sign of Mars's sign of Fall, technically, at that point, Mars is going to be like, okay, you know what? Okay, it's not the greatest sign for me to be in, but I've got one thing to focus on now and I can hone all of my energies into that. So, you know, that can actually be really great for all of us. Now, if you want to know how all of these transits and these big astrological months are going to speak directly to your sun sign, your moon sign, or your ascendant, you can get your year ahead. Is out there for purchase on the link in the description box below, or one of those things that floats above my head. So what you're getting is a 19 plus page document that is printable of all of the big astrology transits and how they're hitting you and your sign specifically. You're also getting a 90-minute tarot video that's got your lunations, how the eclipses are hitting you. On top of that, you're also getting the eclipse overview, which is a separate video that I will not be releasing on any of my other platforms. If you want to get all of that for $4.99, right, you can get that on the link in the description box below. You can get your sun, moon and ascendant for like $14.97, or you can get the bundle of all 12 for $24.99. With that said, March, you have the High Priestess. Pay attention to your intuitive nudges, hunches and leanings in March. This, I think, is where your intuition is really going to start to factor in. January and February are going to be good months for really getting you to understand what this year's about for you. And then it starts to really begin or to show up for you here in March. And whatever journey or spiritual pilgrimage, let's say, or trip you're taking in February, it seems like it's really switched your intuition and your creativity on. This might also be a time for some of you, so you've got this with the Four of Pentacles. This might be a time for some of you where you're really starting to understand where you need to strip something back. For March as well, this is likely to be a time where hidden monies, hidden resources, hidden pots of cash are starting to become, what's the word? Known in some way. Maybe this is you kind of being really, do you know what I mean? It's like maybe you discover that there's a pot of money that's been left for you by somebody. Maybe you discover that your significant other has got this massive savings pot that they never told you about. There's something here where something around money, finances and resources is being revealed for a select few of you. And I say a very select few of you because of what I'm about to say. Some of you could be inheriting a house or a property. Which, you know, is, hey, listen, don't knock it. Really interesting. For April will also be a big month, but it's for a different reason. The first eclipse in the sign of Aries is happening in April of 2023. This is giving you a heads up of the eclipses that are going to be happening over the course of 2024. So this is going to give you a heads up. You're getting a clue as to, okay, these are the kinds of things that are going to be prominent, that are going to be changing, that are going to be to the forefront in my life in some way, shape or form. So for that reason, pay attention to the eclipse that's happening in April. For this, you have the Fool card, new things, new places, new people, new energy. Aries has a very new energy anyway, right? Because it's the first sign of the zodiac. It's kind of like the newborn or the, you know, the toddler kind of energy. You've also got the North Node. So this is going to be a North Node eclipse, which is about what's new or what you're driving towards. And you've got this with the Fool card, which means something, someone, some place new is being brought into your life. There is change here, and I think it's really positive. And you've got this with the Queen of Pentacles. So a little known fact, when the Fool card shows up with a Court card, it means that you're meeting somebody. This means that somebody is coming into your life that you don't know yet. So the Queen of Pentacles is usually a Taurus, Capricorn or a Virgo person, usually a Taurus, Capricorn or Virgo woman. This means that in April, you are meeting an earth sign woman who is very likely to be a part of your world or to change your life in some way, shape or form. I don't say that lightly. If you've been with me long enough, I'm not one of these people that's like, every week you're meeting a soulmate and every week piles of money is falling from the sky, right? But I gotta tell you, whoever she is, remember the traits of the Queen of Pentacles. This is someone who knows how to make money, right? You could get, like, one of the ways that I typify the Queen of Pentacles, you could give her a tenner. That's what we call 10 pounds here in the UK. You give her a tenner, she'll give you back 100 grand. This is somebody that knows how to make money, that knows how to make tangible things happen, that knows how to make resources. And because this year is more about spiritual stuff and the internal this year for you guys, I think she's going to show you a new way to manifest that happens to come from within rather than just a download and go. Could also be that you're going into business with someone. It could be that you're working alongside with someone. It could also be that this person comes into your life to be a significant other. You know, it doesn't have to be that it's a woman. You know, it could be anyone, right? It could be a man, a woman, person, either or. So as we come into May, the second packed astrological month of the year, Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Jupiter is moving into the sign of Taurus and is going to be there from May the 16th right the way through to 2024. So Jupiter for the last few years has done this thing where it retrogrades out of one sign and back into the previous sign. It's not doing that this time. It goes into Taurus and it stays in Taurus. Big deal. So wherever Taurus is in your chart, if you want to find out, you know what to do. Full moon, lunar eclipse. This is the last full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio for the next 9-10 years. This is a big deal, right? This one's going out with a bang, I can assure you. And it's the closing out of a cycle. So this is the wrapping up of one part of that eclipse cycle story for you. You've got the Strength card. The Strength card has been very active for May and August, so I'm intrigued by this. Now, that being said, obviously because I've seen all of these, May through August seems to be the challenging period of 2023. There's a lot going on there, so it's like the beginning of the first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter of the, you know, of the year. So I'm intrigued by this. So you've got the Strength card here, which means that you're having to walk new roads, right? You're having to do new things, and you've got to find that courage for it, right? This is you covering ground that you've never covered before. This is you gaining new skills, right? And this is the whole thing. Your energy, the 22 energy, really is about refinement. It's about doing something consistently until you master it, because that's what your energy represents, is mastery. Now, the thing about that is, in order to be a master, you got to fall on your face a few times. And so April and May could be quite humiliating, but they could be humility making. All right, see it that way, reframe it in that way. And you've got this with the Moon card. Something about your past, something that maybe you would rather people not know about you, seems to be coming up here. Something is being shared about who you are. Something about you is being shared with the world. And it's like, oh, you know, I don't really want people to know that about me. We all have stuff, right? Every single person on the planet. I don't care who you are, where you're from. If somebody came to me and said to me, no, I've got no skeletons in my closet, I'll show you a bullshitter. Right now, get off my soapbox. What I will say to you though, is you're learning something new here. You're finding new ways to interact with yourself at a much deeper level, because the Moon card is it's the deep part of you. It's the subconscious. And you've got this with the Strength card. This is you having the courage to look into yourself in a place or a space within you that maybe doesn't get enough light of day. June, you've got the Temperance card. Temperance has been quite active for June and July. Now, this might be a time where some of you are working with a healer or a mentor. Some of you could be getting coaching at this time, or healing. Maybe somebody's assisting you with that kind of journey. And you've got this with the 8 of Swords. I gotta be honest, there's a potential here. It's not guaranteed, but there is a potential here that there could be something going on with maybe a stint in hospital. I wouldn't be surprised if at this time as well, May and June, we're seeing a prominent figure, possibly a prominent woman in the public eye that is spending time in hospital. There's something wrong with her health. Now, for you personally, this could be that you're spending time at a hospital. The 8 of Swords, constriction, confinement, you can't do anything or go anywhere. With the Temperance card, hospital, healthcare professionals, healers, etc. What I love most about this is you're seeing it through to completion. That 8 of Swords suggests that whatever you're embarking on, whether it's coaching, healing, therapy, counseling, maybe even a chiropractor or an osteopath, it's like you're seeing this out. You're doing it right. If for those of you that have had problems or challenges with your back, your spine, etc., May and June, it looks like you're not just approaching it and saying, right, well, I'm going to go and get a massage and that will be that. it's like you're looking at this from all angles to say, right, what is the spiritual stuff and the emotional stuff that's tied into this? Where does that sit in my body? Oh, in my back. Okay, so I'm going to go to a chiropractor. I'm going to see them. I'm also going to see an energy worker or a therapist or a counselor at the same time, so that I can really remove this stuff. It's like you're removing something from your physical body, but from your energetic and your emotional bodies at the same time. For July, you have the Moon card again. All right, so doing that healing, right? Doing that work, putting that work. So you've got the Moon card with the Two of Swords. This is very, very powerful empathic energy. This is also going to be a time where you're really working through how you perceive things, right? So this could be a time where now that you've done all of this stuff with your body, this could be where you're really working on the mind. I will say, and I don't feel like this is necessarily for you guys, but it could be a possibility. And why do I say this? The figure in these cards and in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, in both of these cards, the figure is blindfolded. I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice. June and July, there could be something going on with your ocular health, all right? With your eyes, with the way that you see, etc. If this isn't you and it's somebody that you're caring for, a family member, a lover, etc., it could be something that's happening around their eyes specifically. Another way that this could show up as well is, and this is really strange because there's something that's coming to me now that I remember from, I was watching this, gosh, I think I was only about 7 or 8. I remember watching this program, and this woman, what she didn't know is that she had a problem in her neck. It was like something to do with the posture. She woke up one morning and she had like a grey spot in her eye. And it was like wherever she looked, or, you know, up, down or whatever, like she could just always see this great grey spot. Anyway, in the end, she went to, I think it was either a chiropractor or an osteopath, and they adjusted her neck and the spot disappeared. This was years, I remember watching it on TV, and I'm wondering, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not diagnosing anything. I'm just saying that's the story that's coming to mind as I look at this stuff. And like I said, both of the figures on these cards have problems with eyes, and I wonder if it's affecting the vision somehow. Don't know who needs to hear that, but obviously it's coming up for a reason. The other thing with the Two of Swords, that's a very psychic energy, and the Moon card is past facing. So the past in some way is going to be very real for you May through July. August, you've got the Hanged Man card. Sit August out, all right? That doesn't mean you have to be laid up in bed unless you need to be laid up in bed. But the Hanged Man does suggest, you know, rest, recuperation. It can also be delays, things that you've wanted or waited for, things that you've been working on are not happening for some reason. Sometimes that's divine intervention or assistance. And you've got this with the Knight of Cups. That's interesting for a few reasons. One, for those of you that have Pisces teenagers, August could be a month where they need more of your support. There is an offer or an opportunity coming in here in August, and it's really strange because, well, it's not strange, but the feeling that I get from this is you're not going to be sure about it. And the reason that you're not sure with such a heightened intuition this year is because it's not for you. All right, whatever is offered to you in August, you're not getting all of the facts. All right, so if this is a job, if it's a contract, if it is whatever it is, right, do some digging around this. Really probe into it. Like, why are you offering me this? What are the clauses? Where are the strings attached? Out of anywhere of the year that's murky, I would say it's probably August. And the reason I say this is because the Knight of Cups is involved, you might feel emotionally drawn to this thing or this person that's being offered to you. And sometimes that's how it gets us, right? That's how we make the mistake. It's because we're so emotionally charged or tied to it that we don't really see what it actually is or who this person really is or whatever. Discernment, discernment, discernment is going to be very, very needed in August. All right, so pay attention to that. September, Mercury is going to be retrograde in the sign of Virgo, and you've got the Sun card. So look at this, right? You come out of the tough portion of the year, and the sun shows up, right? This is where the light returns. Even though we're in the darker half of the year at this point in the Northern Hemisphere, the light returns, right? So you go through maybe not a dark night of the soul, but definitely a bit more of a challenging period than a few of the numbers, to be fair. I don't know though, I think it was Life Path 11. They've got a pretty challenging year ahead as well. For October, sun card, light, heat, blessings. The light shows up after all of this heaviness. The past is cleared, the challenges are cleared, the body is healthy once more, the vitality has returned. As you come into September, things are a lot lighter and brighter, and you've got this with the High Priestess. That is where something, right, so whatever is being offered to you in August, High Priestess is hidden things revealed. You've got a double hit of the High Priestess here. Whatever's offered to you in August, and it's funny that the offer should come in August, right? Because at this point, you've run a bit of a gauntlet, right? January through April, you've had a great time. And then May through July, it gets a little bit heavier. It gets a little bit murkier. Then you get offered something in August, and it's like at that point where you're probably already at like not like a really low ebb, but like probably a bit dipped beyond the vitality that you usually have. You then get offered this thing, and because you're maybe not in your best energy, that's potentially where the emotional self will kick in, and you'll just accept something because it looks good on the surface or whatever, and you don't ask the right questions. Now that you've got this heads up, this is how I like to use readings personally. I don't care how bad it is. If you tell, it's all going tits up, Raph, death, destruction, murder, I'll be like, okay, let me digest, because I need a minute. I'm still human, right? And then after that, I'll say, okay, how do I plan for this? And now that I know what to watch out for, when there are certain signposts, I can say, okay, you know what? This probably isn't for me. Thank you, but no. The light clears in September, and the High Priestess, if you've been with me long enough, you will have heard me say the High Priestess is hidden things revealed. The High Priestess with the sun, oh, that's a big reveal. You better believe it. And whatever you are turning down here, and you have free will. You don't have to base your life on what Raf's telling you. You always have a choice. Your life is your life. Your will is your will. You might take it. However, September is likely to reveal to you, wow, I didn't take that job and I just found out that the company went bust. Wow, you know what? I decided to turn down this guy on a date, and one of my, old girlfriends had actually dated this person, and they said he was really awful. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a million ways it could show up, but whatever it is in September, there's a grand reveal, and it's like, yes, I made the right decision to say no. As heartbreaking as it was, or as, I might never get this chance again. The universe will never do that to you, all right? You might not get the same chance again, but there'll be something else that comes. Trust me for that. That being said, your own intuition is, again, going to be really fire. In the months of March, April, and September, the intuition is on point. July, it's probably going to be quite strong, but at the same time, you've got a lot else going on. October, 2 eclipses. An eclipse in Libra, that's going to be the first of that cycle. So the eclipses in the Aries, Leo, the Aries and Libra axis is in full swing by this point, right? This is now you will really know what you're going to be working with in 2024. As if that wasn't enough, we've got the final full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus that sees out. That's it. At that point, the Taurus Scorpio axis is well and truly complete for at least another 9-10 years. Okay. Now for October, you've got the Devil card. Be mindful of, at this point, because September comes and you're like, yeah, everything's good again. The light has returned. Literally. Right. And then here in October, you're like, now, okay, I'm just going to go and party. Okay, with a little bit of moderation, please. You've got this with the Knight of Swords. So I would be mindful here about starting any legal proceedings. I'm a little bit apprehensive about that. And be mindful of arguments that you get into in October, because they could end up lingering, all right? As you come into November, you've got the Magician card, so this is nice. November is, I think, is going to be a really powerful month for you, where you're getting probably either a big invite, or you're starting to remember your own power. You're starting to really remember your own source is actually you. You've got this with the Five of Swords, potentially going up against somebody that is in a position of power. I would say on the wider world stage, we're going to see a dispute between people that are in power. I don't know if this is governmental or monarchical. Are they even words? Right, but just that's something to watch for on the wider world stage. The other thing for you guys personally, I really feel like this is a moment to watch out for. Like if you're going up against somebody that is a heavyweight or whatever, it's not to say that you'll lose. It's just obviously you want to be mindful of, you know, don't bite off more than you can chew. And then finally, you've got the star card for December. Look at this, right? So there is hope here. And also, another way that this could show up for you in November, it could be that you, now that you're coming back into yourself, you know, maybe you've had a period where you're a little bit less Life Path 22 and a little bit more marshmallow. And, you know, like people are like, well, you know, that's cool. Like we can do whatever. And you're like, no. Like you're back into it, right? Come November. And then December, you've got the star card with the 8 of Wands. Now, the star card is number 17. 1 and 7 gives you 8. 2 8, new knowledge, new information coming in. And this will be information that's coming from a distance. You have help and support that's coming from outside of the place that you live, or outside of your company, your work, or your professional life. There is support coming in here, but it's coming from a distance. It's not from somebody that's like in your space or in your vicinity, but they are playing a very big supportive role here. This could also be a time where some of you, it looks like you're getting maybe taking some kind of online course, and this will probably center around websites, technology, or maybe you're, you know, working. That one seems to want out. Okay. Yeah, I really like December actually, and I also feel like this could be a time where you're making a lot of international connections and friends, and this is where you start to really understand what this year has actually done for you. Like, yes, it will have had its moments, yes, it will have had its challenges, but then you kind of see it and you're like, yeah, you know what, this is actually, you know, all the tools that I needed were given to me in all the challenges that I thought I had. Your key to the year is the Grace card. I love this card because it basically says create for the sake of creating. Create because you love it. Create, you know, whatever you, like when you speak to artists, a lot of them are just like, yeah, you know, I painted this because I wanted to explore or, you know, songwriters like, yeah, you know, I was really heartbroken and I wanted to write about my experience. They create from that place of loving what they create. It's not about, it's got to sell, it's got to, you know, it's got to make me money, it's got to fuck all of that. That's not going to get you anywhere. Create, right? Create because you love what you're creating, because the love that you pour into what you're doing will show. And that's what makes people say, yes, I want to buy that. All right. On top of that, this card literally represents soulmates. Swans mate for life, right? So they only have one partner, and if that partner dies, they never take another. That's not to say that your partner's on their way out or anything like that. What it means is, if you're in a relationship, get back to being friends. Like I said to you earlier, look, 22. Right? Just, I mean, you know, I don't make the rules. On top of that, for those of you that are single, you could find someone, and it's like, my money, if I'm completely honest with you, it will probably be within this portion of the year, right? And that's not to, like, obviously the stuff about August still stands. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh great, so I meet somebody when I'm at my lowest ebb. If they can see you at that point and still love you and look past all of the crazy drama that might be taking place around you or in your life at that moment in time, that's a keeper. Anybody can come when life is good and the money's flowing and and be like, oh yeah, well, I'll stay with this person. It's the people that know how to deal with you when you're at your, you know, heavier end of the scale that really, really counts. Now, that being said, your challenge months, May, June, July, August, challenge months, October, challenge month, right? Your power months, January, February, March, April, beautiful. September, beautiful. November, even with the challenge there with the Five of Swords, I think this is good. I think this is you challenging authority here. And it's like by doing so, you're probably becoming the mouthpiece for everybody that wanted to say something but didn't have the guts, whereas you did. And then finally, December, Power Month. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. I will see you in the comments over the course of the year. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care, and I'll see you soon.